Hey, what's going on? Hold on. Let me close this door. Okay. So yes, I know. It's just like 3 videos in one day. You're spoiled. Oh my goodness. Thank you. This is like you're welcome. Oh my god. Anyway, so in the midst of me talking about patriarchy takes the wheel, I didn't even know that in one of my subscriptions, and this has happened more than once, the people who I follow are either excuse me, are sponsored, or the ops, sponsored and or the ops, where they participate in the abuse willingly because they don't want their meal ticket or any type of like benefits that they've gained to go away. So one of them is called the History Channel, and I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys because and look, Sebastian right now is a little bit like perturbed, and he's showing like his little claws, and I feel like that is so like related to the way how certain type of men are exhibiting their feelings right now. They're just I told you earlier, it's catty. It's catty. Did I not tell you? It's definitely catty. It's giving like, male feelings, whereas, it's showing too much of the femininity where you can't actually, exert enough control and leadership. And oh my goodness, hold on. So I wanted to go ahead and just pick this apart because you're an old ass man and you have the responsibility to have a channel of how many people? So it's called Nutty History, and I am subscribed to this. I will subscribe to this for some time, but hold on, I want to have this right here, right here. It's one thing to be like, insulted by a basic human being who's just, like a bitch ass nigga. But it's another thing entirely to have, a fucking following and then try to come for me and you still get fucking like, in your fucking feelings triggered and then I happen to retort a bunch of evidence and proof that would dismiss or dispel or reject your fucking claims. Like it's just like bitch, hello and goodbye. So here we I didn't listen to it in its entirety, but I was just like, why should I have to try to listen to this bullshit twice? Instead, I'd rather just listen to it with you guys. And boom, boom, boom. Oh, I saw this a bumblebee, a really huge, huge bumblebee resting on my roof. And I was just like, oh my God, like she looks like she's starving or she's tired. And I'm like, I have a rose bush right there, so I don't think that she's starving. I got her laying on a bunch of I was gonna say frozen flowers that I got from the store a while ago. So hopefully, they're still good enough for her to use, or, or if they're even, friendly for her to use. They're like I looked it up. I was looking it up actually, and then I was hearing this in the background. I was just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, a few days ago, a few days ago, I was talking the inbred who could barely rule the nation. It's discussing about this guy who has like this weird face, and it says the inbred. So one of the rumors about me was about my mom having sex with my uncle, and I was just like, ew, that's so gross. No, I actually do look, unfortunately, to like the guy who's literally who sold me out. So I look like my father, but I don't look like my uncle. Like please stop that. That's so disgusting. I started looking more like my father in the beginning when I was like a child, and then I ended up looking more like my mom as I kept getting older. So stop that cap. In fact, I still have in storage when I was in storage grabbing the pictures and the evidence and the letters. I saw a photo of myself, a baby photo of myself next to my grandmother, and we look the same. So this is just like, wow. Like, y'all really be on one. Trust and believe. I don't want to have any connection with these people. Okay. I mean, I wish I could be like, the stork, I wish I could have a story like the stork, or a cabbage patch, or I was a diamond and somehow I grew in my mom's stomach. But no, unfortunately, I happen to be tethered to people who I have no connection. I don't want any connection with. So, but since we're here, it says the inbred who can barely rule the nation, and I was just like, please stop this. It's interesting though, because I had mentioned before that they are projections coming from my ops, my abusers, because they had sex together. They had sex with their siblings. Now, I should mention that before I even knew what the fuck was going on in 2009, or around 2009, on another social media platform, I had briefly mentioned about the awkwardness going on between the two people, and I had brought it out into public, but I didn't mention them specifically. I was just mentioning, like, is it safe enough for a brother to talk about like how sexy his sister is, and then also go into detail about, like, certain type of things. So it's really crazy on how you wish to go ahead and try to throw some type of mumbo jumbo at me when I'm back in like 2009, 2010. You know, back in the day when I was super naive, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then, oops, me goops, find out that, you guys were like swinging. Okay. Anyway, swing. So, anyway, let's go back to it. Like, see, like, yo, I wouldn't have to bring up anything about you, then you wouldn't have to bring up anything about me. And it's crazy that we even have to go this far, because I will be gladly to go ahead and bring about all my medical papers. The saddest fact that you guys had to even go there, it just shows how desperate you are to wanting to still keep a connection with me when I really don't want anything to do with you. So, womp, womp, womp.
To a crashing end after the tumultuous. Not all traditions have great history, and some often become so corrupted that they become an abomination. Charles II of Spain was a living embodiment of one such tradition that once helped the Spanish Habsburgs to become the most influential dynasty in Europe, and later came full circle to be the reason for their downfall. Welcome to Nutty History. This is the story of the inbred who could barely rule his nation.
Oh, I also want to say that this has came like an hour after I had posted my live video, because again, I think that what happens is that a lot of people, a lot of like my ops have like rhetorical, not rhetorical, but they have in their arsenal like content that's ready at, ready and willing to just be thrown out there once they get triggered. So there are multiple things that happens when people show me that, obviously I've hit a point. Like, I don't, like I said before a few times, I'm not looking here to hurt your feelings. I'm looking here to tell you observations, basically, especially observations or things that you have exposed and thought that you could actually try to use against me. And I'm just like, oh no, honey, this belongs to you. So, yeah, let's go about it. Where people obviously who are, influencers, because they obviously, were enjoying, benefiting, exploiting, and being capitalistic off my abuse, and they are willing and able to continue being abusive. And not only that, it's just that when they're triggered, instead of actually jumping quick and ready to be accountable in front of a camera, they rather be quick and ready to try to provoke me or say that, hey, look, I hurt your, hey, look, you hurt my feelings, and I'm going to now retaliate by putting out some type of content in order to try to like be mean, or like to try to mock you and things of that nature. That's all that they're doing. That's all that they're doing. It's really punk shit. It's really punk shit. Like, this is your aim. You know, day after day, consistently, I've been showing how I've been trying to advocate for my justice. Day after day, you're doing nothing but victim blaming, victimizing yourself, and then trying to provoke me or mock me for your your continuous abuse, your entitlement, your self-serving greedy ways, exposing the real of fucking America, and being performative as fuck about, like, your intentions and things of that nature. Being passive aggressive and extremely shady because, you're triggered, you have the limited resources to be powerful, all powerful as as you want it to be. You're not as powerful as you thought you were. You're not as valuable as you thought you were. The image of you. Really, it doesn't matter about who your lemmings are or the crowd is. It's just that you've shown your weakness, and even though you're laughing in the crowd, just imagine like this, like the whole Trump thing. Just like, but just like imagine like the crowd that you're in is just weak, okay? And apparently, it's easier to be weak than it is to be somebody of substance, valuable substance, not the bullshit rendition of whatever you guys are. Okay. Apparently, I've definitely hit a bunch of sensitive points because it's got you guys triggered. You guys are lying. You guys are projecting because you guys are mostly talking about yourselves or you're talking about people that
The
you know.
mightiest empire in Europe.
But
Today was November 1st.
But I recognize a lot of your I remember a lot of your previous insults at me and mockings and stuff like that. I recorded it. I've kept it. So, and I also from the original time back in 2016, 2015, when you guys, when we had like the whole YouTube beef and then people were starting to make content in regards to it and things of that nature. So let's not pretend like, oh, I'm IMC now, which you guys were alluding to. No, no, you guys were really on your shits when you were trying to like antagonize me back in the day. And then in 2018, there was some passive aggressiveness about like, the YouTube shit back in the day too. Somebody had mentioned a few of those things. So yeah. Hold on. I should know. Okay, I'm ready. Just have to ask the computer something, but okay. And one, and two, and one, two, three.
1900, Europe was holding its breath to see the sun set down on one of the most powerful dynasties that had ever existed on the continent. The Spanish branch of Habsburgs was seeing their lineage come to a crashing end after the tumultuous and tormenting life of Charles II, who some may say died young. and others may claim that he lived far too long for his excruciating experience. The then first man of Spain was barely a man, in fact. He was physically disabled, mentally handicapped, and heavily disfigured to the point that every breath brought him a fresh batch of pain. Nobody would have believed that when Charles.
Now, okay, when it said physically handicapped, they were alluding to the whole physical therapy that I'm going through, the physical therapy, and they were saying, and of course, they're talking about like, so as you can see, like with my lips, and you're talking about with my chin and things of that nature, that I would be looking some type of like inferior. They're basically saying that I look inferior, or that I look kind of like I'm an inbred person, and it's just like this is not even a smart remark to make, considering that you bitches. Oh, that's why. Okay. So yeah, so when I called you bitches Dolby looking, you guys wanted to, allude that I'm an inbred person, but literally the person that you over here sucking a dick in order to stay in the fucking house, um, that is the person who had sex with their sibling. Ooh, 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 ooh. And actually, I remember one of you hating ass bitches had replied to one of the that social media platform where I was talking about the awkwardness. Oh my god, girl, stop it. Stop. You was the embarrassing. Oh my goodness, it's embarrassing enough that I had dated the person first and then you decided to like, sleep with that person behind my back. But it's another thing in its entirety for you to be all up in your feelings or you're just like start projecting weird ass situations. Oh my goodness, get on your feelings. If anything, I'm gonna take this as a compliment. You're telling me that I look like royalty because I mean, obviously, in just so many ways, I really am. And not just a royal pain in your ass, but that'll do for right now. That'll do for right now. That'll do for right now. I don't mind being a royal pain in the ass. A royal pain in your ass. Oh, look at this. It's starting to be choppy. The Wi-Fi is starting to be choppy. Just like your fucking oopsie. Just like your fucking relationships. So there we go. Again, I really liked how that grandmother was so spicy. Oh my goodness. All right, so here we go. Let's do, one more time for the one more time. He got full lips. Oh my gosh. And he got the what? Stop it.
That down on one of the most powerful dynasties that had ever existed on the continent. The Spanish branch of Habsburgs was seeing their lineage come to a crashing end after the tumultuous and tormenting life of Charles II, who some may say died young, and others may claim that he lived far too long for his excruciating experience.
For his excruciating experience, like the excruciating moments. And I have been subscribed to them for a while though, but they have done some things underhandedly, like slipped it in regards to like the insults and things of that nature. I haven't looked at their other videos, but I was just like the inbred who could barely rule the nation, and I was intrigued only because of the rumors that you guys had spread. And I do believe, and I know that I have put it in several other videos before, but you know what? Since I do have to go back there and transcribe a lot of things, don't worry, babes. Don't worry, you guys. So whenever you're trying to like be like, I don't know what she's talking about, no, you know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. This looks really bad on you guys. So many ways. And I mentioned before about women using sex and this and her, sex, drugs, and lies just to get their way. But it's just like a lot of men who weren't, the ones who were kind of like, in power or could just buy women in order to like to sleep with them. They, would have to act like bitches too. And in order to, have women, try to see them, be like, oh my goodness, okay, fine. I'll give you the pussy. Something like that, sometimes. It just seems like, if you're not as attractive and you have like several things against you, then people will try to do the most. Men will get desperate. They'll even have to act like bitches sometimes in order to just seem favorable. So it seems like one of those things. Okay.
And first man of Spain was barely a man, in fact. He was physically disabled, mentally handicapped, and heavily disfigured to the point that every breath brought him a fresh batch of pain. Nobody would have believed that when Charles II took his last breath on November 1st, 1700, he was only 39.
39? So you're trying to allude that next year I'm going to die or maybe sooner? Oh my God.
Was all of his hair. A thick tongue made it near impossible. Nobody would have believed that when Charles II took his last breath on November 1st, 1700, he was only 39. He had lost almost all of his hair. A thick tongue made it near impossible to understand his speech, and his behavior could be defined as senile at best. Less than 100.
Oh, so you're thinking that my recent few videos within the past few days has been like, senile or irrational, considering that it's justified with, the abuse and all. And a lot of you people are still, dumbing down in regards to trying to keep this shit going. But I'm just like, no. And you just kind of, not stopping the music until I actually react, until you see the physical reaction. Like, the words, I guess, aren't enough. You are looking for the physical reaction in order for something to happen, because you are highly doubtful that anything will happen, because you guys seem to just be okay with listening to my abusers and going along with the bullshit, because it served you so well for 10 years. But for some reason you doubt a lot. You guys really heavily doubt and fear change, not just change, but accountability and anything that's immoral or upright or justice. And the part about, what was it again? Because sometimes it's just like really easily to forget somebody when their voice is just like mundane. It's less like okay, well, I don't want to try to remember that hard.
He was only 39. He had lost almost all of his hair.
Oh yeah, because I did remember talking about, like, the thinning of my hair at one point in time, because that's what happens with lead poisoning. Oh, and it says the thickening of my tongue, I guess, though. And it's like, supposedly it's just like too difficult in order for you guys to hear. Well, maybe if you wouldn't do such dumb shit to me, then maybe you guys wouldn't be complaining about like how the effects of it. Again, you guys just always seem very stupid. It's just like you complain about, like yourself. Like you would cut your nose to spite your face, and then you start complaining about why you guys can't breathe correctly. And apparently I'm talking well enough because it made you guys hop on your fucking keyboards, take very long in your group chats, and then try to reply with mocking me. So it seems like you hear me, especially when you use my content in order to regenerate it and use it for your own self-serving, deeds and whatnot. So you hear me just fine. You dumb, stupid ass fucks. Lazy and ugly. But here we go.
Tongue made it near impossible to understand his speech,
It says, yeah,
and
near
his
impossible.
behavior could be defined as
Can you
senile
imagine
at
being
best.
like, can you imagine being like
Listen,
really
100.
desperate enough? It was like, okay, it's near impossible to just like understand you though, but you seem very desperate enough to try to, hear so fucking hard. It's just like having a glass next to a fucking door and stuff like that. But like, okay, and then trying to like dictate exactly every little thing that I'm doing or saying, so that way you can try to use it for yourself. Seems like you make it work, with this tongue and stuff like that. You guys really do it to yourselves. You really do it to your fucking selves. You guys are such an embarrassment. Such a dopey ass.
Years ago, from 1700, Charles II's father, the Habsburg monarch Philip IV of Spain, ruled over much of Western Europe as well as the New World. They also controlled the kingdoms of Naples and Sicily, and the Duchy of Milan in the broken Italian lands, and their influence echoed in Genoa, Mantua, and Tuscany. The East was controlled by their cousins, Austrian Habsburgs, and they had Spanish archdukes ruling Flanders in the north. And yet, this vast empire was actually on the wrong side of the curve. We have to rewind even a little further to find out when the Habsburgs peaked. They reached the zenith of their power a little while before the end of the 16th century. The Duchy of Milan was replaced by Charles V, the Holy Roman Empire and Archduke of Austria, in 1535. Charles V of Austria was also known as Charles I of Spain when he became the king of the country in 1516. We know it's confusing, but trust us, this is one of the least minded bothering things about these old European dynasties from back in the day. He split his empire soon after conquering Milan and assigned Spain to one of his sons, the future Philip II of Spain, in 1540. Philip II then went on to conquer Portugal in 1580 and marry Queen Mary I of England while the Spanish dominions in America were ever expanding. But underneath the strong fortification of how Habsburgs had genetically engineered their hold over Europe, there were massive cracks in the foundation that were beginning to show already. Charles V did gift his son a massive and influential empire, but he also passed on Philip II a debt of about 36 million ducats and an annual deficit of 1 million ducats. This debt caused Philip II to default on loans in 1557, 1560, 1575, and 1596. Add two historical accidents in the mix.
That's crazy. But it's still less than the how much money is the United States is in debt. That's crazy. Doing all those exploits off on me, and yet you guys are using it. The reason, probably the reason why you guys are are in debt is because you are pocketing it, giving it overseas into your offshore accounts, and because you're over here spending it on sex, drugs, and other nefarious situations. But whatevs. Meanwhile, any money that I've had has been literally going to my investments and things of that nature. Plus, having to cover the financial abuse that you guys have tried to put me through. Yeah. Oh my God. So, how much is the United States? Yeah. Oh my God. It just populated like super quickly. Ooh, 32 trillion. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're just gonna keep playing this. Those who live in
And the
glass
Habsburgs.
houses. Those who live in glass houses should not touch the moon. Those who live in glass houses should not touch the moon. And I just wonder like how many of the other people are definitely in debt that they have to go. Like, imagine how much you would be in debt if you were using me as your fucking resource for anything. You're not welcome, but you should be very careful about how you talk about me, considering that all can just disappear.
On intense measures for self-preservation, Charles II was both a literal and metaphorical herald of doom for the dynasty.
Oh, look at this frozen. This is my phone. I'm not using Wi-Fi, so just look at this. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Somebody is tripping.
There's one simple vision hack anyone can use to improve vision, so you can say goodbye to your optometrist for good.
A troubled heir. The defaults on inherited loans were just the beginning of Spain's economic troubles, as Philip II's descendants would default 6 more times in the next 65 years. Aside from reducing state revenues for overseas expeditions, the domestic policies of Philip II further burdened the Spanish kingdoms. As they say, the bill came due eventually, and by the time it arrived, the timing couldn't be worse for the Habsburgs. The Spanish Habsburgs were quite concerned about keeping their bloodline domestic, so they heavily married each other. After several matches between first cousins and 2 between uncles and nieces that made up most of the 11 marriages in the dynasty, the result became popular for its prominent physical deformity, the
Habsburg jaw. So just can you imagine? I mean, you see this little snowball over here, but honestly, the wave is to just the modern wave right now is to have sex with anyone who's literally just going to be able to pay your way and pay your things. Like you guys are okay to call it daddy issues. You guys are even okay to I've seen the TikToks where you guys are don't mind or trying to save face when a guy is cheating on you, but as long as he's keeping, your money in your pockets in order for you to buy things so you can show it off and make your friends and stuff like that insecure or jealous. When hopefully that's not what real friends should be. Then you guys are okay with it. And I'm just saying, like, I am not agreeing to something where you guys are having sex with your cousins, but damn sure it's better than not having sex with your siblings. I can tell you that much, okay? And I don't condone having sex with your family, but I'm just saying it's a lot much more respectable not to have sex with your siblings, okay? Like, let's get that fucking clear. Or children, okay? Let's get that fucking clear. Yet here you are doing both and okay with both, and I'm just saying though, the projections and this, that, here, and the third, like I can't save you guys. I really can't save you. Like I myself, I am against that. So when you guys are trying to pretend like, you didn't have that in your fucking history record, like, that's not in your resume, then I can't do anything about that. Like I can't say anything that's gonna be like, oh, let's look at the both sides of things and just try to make this seem like a mellow yellow situation. No, no, no. In addition to that, I would definitely say that with the cousin situation, like I said, it's better than having sex with your sibling or lusting after your sibling. Okay, and it's not even in a sense of what was that movie? Shit, what was that movie? With Michelle Gellar. Cruel Intentions. It's not even a movie in Cruel Intentions where you can say, hey, well that's my that's my stepbrother. Even then, that's those are Pornhub kind of situations. Those are Pornhub situations. Okay, that's not a moment where you need to start talking about like, oh my god, like that's interesting. That's really interesting. Or you can be like, oh, that's formerly my stepbrother. Oh my god. That's crazy. That's crazy, but still, that is better than saying that you had, well, I guess you guys haven't said that yet because then you wouldn't be trying to project that onto me. But yeah, that's better than you having sex with your sibling. Wow. You know, in your adult years, especially it's not like some type of oopsie moment or anything like that. Like there's nothing redeeming about it, like in your childhood or where you guys were just, kind of like doing anatomy, be like, okay, on the count of three, we're gonna show each other like our things. One, two. Oh my god, let me give you nothing. There's nothing I can think of that's gonna be redeeming. It's like no, in your adult years, you guys were having the boom booms, and why would you think that? Men, okay. Ay, 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 ay. Cha, 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 cha. Yeah. So I mean, there's things that you can be like, okay, but there's other things that you can't just be like, oh, okay, it's nothing. No, that's something. That's definitely something we needed to unpack. That's one of those conversations we really needed to unpack and be like, well, this is not still happening. Okay. Like anything like that. Right. Like, it's not like we're going to like take you in front of, a fucking court against a wall and try to shoot you. No, but it's definitely something that we definitely should unpack where that is a problem. Okay, don't try to make it. Don't please do not try to bring it up during a holiday dinner or anything like that because that is definitely something you need to keep between you and your partner. Okay, if at best. And yeah, shibwungies. So yeah, for you guys to try to project that onto me, no, sorry, no. Okay, it's on you, sweetie. It's on you. Anyway, because it's fucking laughable. The Habsburg jaw. I was also considering the part about there was this TV show. I think you guys were having sex, where it's like not you guys were having sex, but there's sex between like a niece and her uncle, which I think is also fucking gross. What? Those are literally the stories that you see on TikToks where you're just like, hey, look, this person had touched me, but here you go trying to like flip the script. That's wrong. Even if it's consensual. Why? Why? Thank you. So then we're gonna move on to the parts where it's just like, okay, kissing cousins. It's been a long archaic situation where things of that nature has happened. So does it get a pass? It shouldn't. Not in today's time. It shouldn't. There's really just like so many people out and about in this world. They really shouldn't. Okay. I don't care if somehow I found out that no, I don't love him anymore. I was gonna say right, Leonardo DiCaprio, but he broke my heart so many times. But it's just like I don't care if I found out that the person who I was like super like tweaked out about was my cousin. I was just like, well, goddamn. Okay. I hope you have a really sexy friend because this really hurts me. This would have been one of those moments, but unfortunately, things are what they are. Again, that's a lot better. And even still, and it's crazy how this guy is not like, nowadays there are a lot of unattractive men out here that are buying and purchasing women who are, they get sex more easier now because women right now are willing to sell their, women went from really showing and exploiting their own selves. Well, not exploit, well, yeah, exploiting their own selves, everything under the sun, literally showing us their insides, their gaping holes in their vaginas on OnlyFans and then also putting it out there on Twitter and being like, hey, you like this? And you can see more on that OnlyFans. And it's just like men are so easy and have the resource now to easily buy sex from women who look a certain type of way or anything like that. And they don't mind as long as the women don't mind, as long as, they have the funds for it, as long as, they're able to pay like they weigh. And this guy looks like he's going to have to pay some good money. Some good money and maybe like an Instagram, some follows, a sponsorship, a trip somewhere, and boom, boom, boom. So, and I'm not talking about this guy. I'm talking about this one right here. So, because there's a lot of old guys who definitely have to keep paying like a bunch of money in order for younger women to sleep with them. And it's just like, it's kind of, you guys are trying to make it a norm. It's just like, does anybody believe in love or like just trying to like, I don't know, that's not really my business, because as long as people actually are consenting to this, that's not my business. As long as you guys are not hurting each other, that's really not my business. It's really not. As long as you guys are not hurting each other or hurting others, do you. But the sibling thing, particularly in your adult years, it's just kind of wild, man. It's just really wild. Okay. Anyway, let's continue, because it's just crazy on, not only the projections, but just, the blind judgments. Meanwhile, there's somebody with just like a huge ass M&M peanut head, and it's just like, bro, it's not even an alien head, because it's like a reverse alien head, because the alien head goes like boom, 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 and yet right here it's almost like, it's not even cone head teardrop. It's like, man, okay, like maybe you should worry about more of yourself than trying to like throw projections at me. But like, what can I say? Like, I can't be too ugly if you are over here all the time and you're trying to compete with it. Like, well, maybe I need to make myself lighter, or then maybe you should be trying to like pick me apart so much. You feel me? I see right through you. You're so
The
transparent.
Habsburg jaw. To put it in perspective, Charles II himself was a byproduct of a marriage between a niece and an uncle. That means his grandmother was also his aunt. Even more than 300 years later, Charles
Oh my
II.
God. Okay, so as you can see, all right, man. So his hold on. Wait, something about his niece and his
In
aunt.
perspective, Charles II himself was a byproduct of a marriage between a niece and an uncle. That means his grandmother was also his aunt. Even more than 300 years later, Charles II's deformities and health ailments fascinate historians who study the Habsburgs to understand how inbreeding contributed to the downfall of a powerful dynasty. Let's talk a bit about genetic science here. One copy of almost that they won't share the same defective, many of the same genes, including the defective disabilities, as have Charles's unattractiveness, a prognathous jaw, an elongated skull, a spectacle, and his feeble health caused the family to fear disabilities, as happened in case of many of the same genes, including the defective ones. There comes the risk of passing down an identical pair of faulty ones to their children. Such defective genes lead to birth defects and permanent disabilities, as happened in the case of our Spanish boy, Charles II. The prince was a sorry spectacle, and his feeble health caused the family to fear for his life. Many people talk about Charles's unattractiveness, a prognathous jaw, an elongated skull, which were quite prominent features of the Habsburgs. They were exaggerated to almost cartoonish degrees. Charles's lower jaw protruded so severely that it wouldn't match with his upper jaw. He was unable to speak until he was 4 years old and had difficulty chewing his food pretty much throughout his entire life.
I'm not even like, seriously, like, it's really weird how like much you're looking at me. This does nothing but just as an example of the human zoo experiment, where you look to mock me and what it is that I look like, and then you throw not only stories and lies at me, but insults and things of that nature. But you were mad because I called you Dolby. But it was because I called you Dolby because, again, you started something first, and then I clap back. But it's the facts, though. You literally looked like Dolby, but not Dolby the elf. It was just like you came from, like, seriously, you were wearing like some really like poor things. So I can understand why you did like desperate measures in order to go ahead. Like, if you were still living in that kind of situation, in that scenario, I can understand, because you were then living on like some hard times in order to do the criminal shit that you were doing. But you were a nurse, and also with dude, you you had the opportunity where you were in the military, not in the military, but you were in the National Guard, and it was just like you got yourself kicked out and dishonorably discharged because you were smoking, and I kept telling you stop smoking, but you were smoking, you got caught, and then they had dishonorably discharged you. Then it was like then you just kept doing just a whole bunch of fuck ups after that. So it was just like, how is this on me? A lot of people are misdirecting their hate at me. And I'm saying no, like, you take that shit right on back, okay? Take that shit right on back. Like, I don't have to lie on you guys. I can just tell you the truth. And you hate it. You hate it so fucking much. You're even willing to have people sit down for hours and try to accumulate a whole bunch of information in order to try to throw it at me in hopes that it will stick. And really, I had this shit to give it right back to you. I'm like, no, this is not for me. This is for you. Eat it, take it, sit down, and then go cry about it in the fucking shadows. So, because from what I hear, though, you are just so fucking pathetic. Boom, 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 boom. Suck it, boom, boom, boom. And it's a shame that you also have, you know, a bunch of celebrities and things of that nature with you that are just really fucking pathetic too, and that they are just gung ho on being fucking messy. The day will come. The day will fucking come. You know what? That chin actually reminds me of that guy from was it Shrek? The one with the protruding jaw, the one who had and actually that big nose with the like the. I mean, don't get it twisted. Like I have like a thing too, also with like the breathing of my nose, which he's talking about with the breathing, and I mentioned that before. But it's just like, don't you have like that weird nose? I know it's kind of like it's definitely ancestral. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. And but yeah, but that whole like that not Lord Farquaad. Actually, you know, Lord Farquaad and Prince Charming definitely had that chin too. And that nose. Actually, that definitely looks like Prince Charming right here. But see, that's what I'm saying, projections. Projection
Charles is unattractive.
you had that nose,
Up his
nigga.
jaw, an elongated skull, which
No.
were quite prominent features of the Habsburgs. They were exaggerated to almost cartoonish degrees. Charles's lower jaw protruded
Doesn't
so
that look like
severely
Prince Charming?
that it wouldn't match with his upper jaw. He was unable to speak.
Fiona. Fiona. With your ego and shit like that. Like, oh, I'm amazing. Oh, Fiona. Is that lip gloss on your lips? Cherry flavored. Ew, nigga. I'm telling you. Put it away. Put it away. Put it the fuck away. Nigga, we're good. On another.
Until he was 4 years old.
That's so fucking triggered. Nigga.
Grammarly,
So
5 tips for writing a
fucking
professional email.
triggered.
Email writing.
Damn. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
His jaw, an elongated skull, which were quite prominent features of the Habsburgs. They were exaggerated to almost cartoonish degrees. Charles's lower jaw protruded so severely that it wouldn't match with his upper jaw. He was unable to speak until he was 4 years old and had difficulty chewing his food pretty much throughout his entire life. As a child, he suffered from all sorts of malaises, and each one was life-threatening during this time in history.
Malaise is kind of like a tiredness and things of that nature because you guys were assuming or alluding that I'm being lazy. And it's because I'm, you know, burnt out and overexhaustion because of the abuse that you're doing. So again, nothing more, nothing much, but just, you know, your projections and things of that nature. How am I supposed to, like, you guys are trying to find humor in these insults, but it's just like the gag is you are awful because you're just as awful as the people you were pointing fingers at. So when the next time that there is some type of country that you want to try to vilify, it's just like I've got a bunch of shit where it just shows that you guys are really not just as bad, but damn near, if not worse. Because like here you are trying to front, you know, trying to be picture perfect when you're really horrific. You're really horrible. You really are. You are stink. You are really, really fucking foul, and you pretend like your shit does not stink. And a lot of countries, I'm sure that they look at you with that same kind of attitude, and you think that you know they're with you, but they're actually just kind of laughing behind your back and not really laughing with you. They're laughing at behind your back. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a good one. But they're really just kind of like painting you to be even more sinister, just feeding the ego. Like you try to play with the citizens, you know, you're being played right on back. It's becoming very cyclical, and you're doing nothing but showing your ugly fucking ass. But go ahead, go ahead, project or you're talking about some project or omit context of the situation. So you want to talk about malaise, but it's literally the fucking repercussions and the effects of the abuse that you guys have given me. So, you guys are so stupid. You're so stupid.
And yet, despite his unhealthy constitution, he still miraculously survived measles, chickenpox, smallpox, and rubella, and kept on defying his doctor's expectations. Thanks to a childhood of contradictions,
Yeah, because you guys were expecting me to die already with the poisons and things of that nature. So that's relevant. You guys were definitely doing that. Not saying that, about chicken pox and things of that nature. No, it's just that through all this burnt out and through all this, situations, you guys were expecting me to, pardon me, kick the bucket. You guys are so stupid. I swear. It's just like, again, not just these projections, but trying to like tether me to a historic figure and then trying to make insults is just, it's not the way. It's obviously transparent, but you want me to know that it's transparent. It's just like, it still looks bad on you. Just swinging it back on you. Stupid. I wonder if you started rewarding yourself and decided to treat yourself to some type of young woman and thinking like, oh my god, like that's so amazing. And then you showed her. Oh my goodness. Like how much money did you have to throw at this person in order to try to fuck you? Or are you with someone like married and stuff like that? It's not really my business, but I'm just kind of curious, and I'm pretty sure I got you some young people's likes. So while you probably like over here fucking your wife, you probably think about like the young person who was like really like kissing your ass for trying to like clap back. One of the many women who were insulted and triggered by my first video. So they're probably just like either figuratively or some of them are literally sucking your dick because you debased yourself and it acted like a bitch nigga in order to do this video. You're only just showing exactly how much triggered you are by my words, and yet here you guys have been for years doing words, actions, insults, and abuse. You make me so much bigger than you without me even really doing anything.
Earned the title Charles the Bewitched.
The Bewitched. Remember that witch
Sadder
photo
than the
episode?
first.
Aw.
On November 1st, 1661, Philip IV and Queen Mariana of Austria lost their first child to survive infancy, Philip Prospero, at the mere age of 4. Now, 5 days later, on November 6th, Charles was born. La Gaceta of Madrid had published the news with elation. They described Charles as a robust male, handsome of face, well-proportioned head, black hair, and somewhat pudgy. However, the ambassador of Louis XIV had quite a different description of the crown prince of Spain for the king of France. Quoting here, the prince seems extremely weak. Both cheeks have a herpes-type rash. The head is covered with scabs, and below the right ear, a type of festering duct or drainage has formed. We have heard of it.
Okay. So the prince seems extremely weak. Again, I've talked to you about, the whole effects of me just having the burnt out and whatnot like that. So you've labeled that as laziness. Now, the both cheeks have a herpes type rash. Now, I did go publicly with going ahead to reveal that my ex does have a venereal disease. And so across the borders, you guys were talking about me supposedly having one, but I had already dispelled that stuff by showing you exactly that on the court records. I had showed that, look, I don't have this, that, here, and the third. The whole sexual STI or anything like that. I was like, no, that's UTI, that's bacterial vaginosis. These are things that you guys have done as bioterrorism. So don't try to allude to anything that's untrue. And also, don't forget that you also taken my identity. So don't try to be that dumb bitch that's also seized real estate companies, businesses in my name and identity. Remember that I've dated this guy since around like right soon after I had acquired this house. And you were sleeping behind my back, I'd say probably around probably 2007, maybe 2006. I don't know. I have to really look at Arizona's age and bio. But nonetheless, that only took for you guys to get that was only enough time for her to get pregnant or like to be born. I had to go 9 months back before then, and then also I don't know how long it took for you guys to have sex, but it was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you took probably an STD test, and boops the goops, you were so habitual with being liars and being cheaters that naturally, if you are consistently taking my identity, what makes you think that you're not trying to take my identity at all and trying to do something like this to assassinate my character? You've done the most. So I would not put it past you in order to try to say this about me. Considering that my half sister has said that I had HIV, in which I had to really show that information to the courts that dispel that situation, that said I don't have it. I think I still have it in my fucking wallet where I put down like the card that I got from them that said like, I don't have it. And considering that you guys stalk me 24/7, like you should know that I have not looked into my wallet not once today. Yeah, thank you. Your HIV test result today is negative. And that's HIV. Okay. That's just like, thank you. That's negative. Not undetectable, negative. And I had the date and I had screenshot and everything. So you bitches really fucking try it. You really fucking try it. For anything that you guys wanted to try to elude about me or project about me, it really went back onto you bitches. In fact, I'm gonna go to the doctors and actually retrieve those again. Because you bitches, actually that's a not only are you guys doing illegal shit, but then you are fucking with was it HIPAA laws? HIPAA laws? Bruh. And again, anybody who's watching me 24/7, like you already know that I haven't been like looking at my wallet. So boom. Yeah, so basically the head is covered with scabs because I told you about this in regards to, the what is it, the Staphylococcus, whatever, aureus, and what it does, it basically gives you like, stuff on me and my cats on our skin. Oh, he's so cute in the bed. Yeah, and it says below the right ear, a type of festering duct or drainage has formed. Okay, so I'm guessing you guys are talking about something where it's just like, yeah, it's like acne. So it comes out when it comes out as acne. And I was talking about like whiteheads the other day. So again, like you guys were definitely trying to like throw shit like my way. And I'm like, no, I won't allow this to go like unannounced because in order for you guys to try to claim that I am loopy or crazy, it's just like no, I have like I have more evidence than this, and this is not the first time when somebody who I'm subscribed to was trying to throw some shade, and this is not the first account that had did it. So just keep it coming. Like all you're doing is just really proving the obvious. And though even though it's already sorry, there's like those little flies, not the flies, but the little moth looking things that are attracted to light that are just like really attracted to like my studio light. And I'm like, no. Speaking of which, okay, I've got a sleepy bumblebee on a flower that I need to tend to, and I also got work tomorrow, so let's just hurry this up.
Through other channels, as the bonnet the child usually wears prevents seeing this area. Until he was 4, this type of festering duct or drainage has formed. We have heard of this through other channels, as the bonnet the child usually wears prevents seeing this area.
Oh, the bonnet that the child usually wears in order to prevent seeing this area. So I guess, my poofy hair prevents you guys from seeing, my acne or anything like that. So get the fuck out of here, bitch.
Until he was 4, his diet was exclusively breast milk, and he was fed by 14 wet nurses who, in the end, had to be changed continually because of the bites he was given with his abnormal jaw to their, well, you know.
That's very crazy that it's talking about a bunch of women trying to aid somebody when really this guy, one of my abusers, has a harem full of women. So you guys are over here really mixing all kinds of juices and fluids and nasty venereal diseases between you guys and just going ahead and just talk, fuck as many strangers as possible, to your liking, to your will. It's just, deplorable. It is. It's really wild. And it's really crazy on how you guys are trying to discuss this when you have so many women falling to your aid so quickly. Knowing how women are in the household, it's crazy on how women thinking that, they were going to be, such excellent leaders or like they were going to, excuse me, it's not that women can't be excellent leaders. It's just that it's crazy and wild on how they were insulted on how I said that a lot of them aren't ready to lead. Considering that in a lot of households, women do have even a hierarchy between their own daughter a lot of times that they want to control them so much and that they also are in competition with them. It's just like you can't even be, a decent human being in your own fucking like dwelling. What makes you think that you were fit enough in order to do that, on a national scale? And, you were given the reins in order to exude your power. And you really showed yourself by being a deficit. You want to talk about me being a deficit? Whole entire time without missing context. You were talking about like, you with the missing context, you did not include the part where you were taking my money and also creating financial obstacles and things of that nature. You didn't want to do it. it's a typical woman thing. It's a typical man thing. But to see people in power really, try to act like they were the person to try to control me or dictate what it is that I do or try to criticize me is it's really wild. Makes them definitely look like a clown. So yeah, be mad because you guys called yourself out. That's all you do. Just call yourself out for the stupid ass bitches that you are, male and female, when you really do this type of shit. But
Yet he
some
was
stuff that
crowned as king
music.
at the same age. He had bronchial and dental infections and frequent bouts of diarrhea.
Oh boy, this is one of the things that you guys have done when I said the poisonings and things of that nature with the what is it I guess with the diarrhea, the kind of things like back in the day with the flatulence and those kind of manners. Yeah, you guys have done that. I did have bronchitis back in the day, and that is actually a medical record that I can actually pull up, so that way you guys can't try to dispel any of that kind of thing. It's just like you guys know, a lot of you people know that you have been abusive, but I at least want to do my part and my due diligence by by capping a lot of this shit. Not capping by like putting a lid on a lot of this shit. Because without it, it's just like you will take an inch to a whole fucking mile. And I'm just like, no, let's put a cap on this shit. Like, let's put a lid on this shit. Stop it. Stop the lies. Okay? Yeah, I had bronchitis when I was a kid. So, boom.
Those were just something he was gifted by the generational lack of good eating habits. He was addicted to chocolate. He suffered epileptic seizures, which became more severe towards the end of his life. His lack of cerebral development, which
I guess the seizures thing would probably talk about the ticks. Like I said, with my fingers and things of that nature, which I had mentioned in regards to the poisonings that you guys have been doing to me. But okay, you want to say it as something else because I did mention before that you guys like to misdiagnose me with your looking asses. Again, you're showing nothing but your inadequacies at being human beings and how punk ass you are. So keep it going. Only to look like a fool and dumb until somebody really like slaps you all respectively in the fucking mouth, in the fucking teeth.
at 9 years old left him unable to read or write, made his physical incapacity even worse. Demands were low despite having the greatest teachers available. Left him unable to habits. He was addicted to chocolate. He suffered epileptic seizures, which became more severe towards the end of his life. His lack of cerebral development, which at 9 years old left him unable to read or write, made his physical incapacity even worse.
Unable to read and write. I do believe that I've gotten really good grades in English recently during college. It's just that, I'm just very quick. And it's, you guys have been watching me and clocking me so much that it's just like, what is the point? I can really just get to the point of something by just kind of perusing it. It's probably a big word for a lot of you looking ass bitches, but perusing is just like briefly skimming something in order to just kind of, summarize a passage or if it's just running on for too long. Okay. Guys are so fucking pathetic. You were triggered. You guys were deeply, deeply triggered. And you're saying that, poor grades and things of that nature. The only time when I got like really poor grades was during the end of my school year when I had, when I had to take on more responsibility at home because my grandmother had adopted us. And well, my grandmother, took ownership of us because my mom had passed away and she was up there, so I decided to help her with taking care of my brothers. I still also had a job, and I had a side hustle too, which I was designing things. So and I was still in a few extracurricular activities, obviously for college. Yeah, this is really bad that you guys have done the bare minimum and being you guys. And yeah, I'm so much better than you. I didn't want to say that earlier, but it's just proving that I really am. Just really am. And like this right here just keeps me humble. I swear to beings. Like if this once is gone and things of that nature, it's just like, it just really fucks you up that I'm still, even with this, I'm still beautiful, that it still really bothers you and triggers you for who you are. Fascinating. We need to study about this. Okay. Another thing is what was it about the other grades? Oh, first year in college too. When I was in first year of college, like my grandmother absolutely had zero help for me. If she needs to be in a blackout, or no, sorry, she was in a blackout, not need to be in a blackout, but she was in a blackout because of her diabetes. boom, my uncles were calling me like, oh, I don't know what to do and all the other kind of stuff. I'm just like, look, y'all grown ass people. It's really sad, but it really showed a moment where I was truly like indispensable. Because like I was the one that was always taking her out of her blackouts and things of that nature. So yeah, I was okay. Hold on, let me go get the let me go back to children. You can kiss my ass as you see it walking by. Hey baby. How you doing? You okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna probably should have went out right now and got like a some sugar or something like that. Some sugar water. In fact, I think I might have. I don't know. I don't think I have any. I don't keep any sugar in this house because it's just like, what's the point? So, juice it out here. Okay. And I said just, this is the part one because there'll be other times when people want to try to, have their little clapbacks. And it's like, me next, me next, me next. And I'm just like, no, I see what you're doing. A lot of people, I'll just like let it pass. But earlier today, I was talking about the media. And then before then, I was talking about the other person who was like a YouTube influencer. And then we're talking about with this. So, yeah. Let's keep it going. All right. She's okay. She's okay. She's okay. Yeah. So so I did bad in my first year of school and college, and then I just happened to go back, and then I had got better grades, obviously. So yeah, again, you guys, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. You're stupid. Like, bro, stop it.
Demands were low despite having the greatest teachers available. He lacked self-control, which was made worse by his mother's authoritarianism, making him essentially little more than a family puppet. The man was also well known for having a short fuse.
Oh, so because I called you guys a puppet and things like that, you wanted to call me a puppet. It seems like I'm more of an appendage since you guys can't let me go, and since you guys have been using me for a long time. It's not that I'm a puppet because I'm not moving to your will. Because if that was the case, then you guys would be more, easygoing, and you wouldn't be sending out messages that happen to be like, why don't you be more this way? Be more this way, or be more that way. Why can't you be more this way? You wouldn't be trying to criticize me as much. You feel me? If I actually was obeying exactly what the fuck it is that you were saying. But no, I'm not your puppet. You guys are just using me as your appendage because you're dependent on me. You guys are very fucking pathetic. You are leeches. Cancerous. And it's a shame that a lot of you people are people of color. So, again, you did it to yourselves. You did it to yourself. Just calling it out for what it is. Just calling out your projections. Calling out your own insults. Hey, look, you try to throw this at me, throw it right the fuck back, bitch. Okay, here we go.
Temper outburst that lasted a long time.
Oh.
Over the past 6 months, we have been investigating as well as exposing the truth behind all of these food processing plants that have been catching on fire and burning to the ground.
You're mad?
Dutch farm-
You're that fucking mad? Hold on. So it was just like these tempers that would last a long fucking time. What? I guess you would insult me for decades behind my back and do like some really old fucked up malicious shit and think that I'm just gonna like, I guess just have like a 1 day or 2 day or like kind of tantrum and then be over it. Like it's not that. Like you don't understand. No, you actually do understand the gravity of this because you guys have loved playing the victim during your own situations. But you had me try to do this and handle this dolo solo and still trying to handle this dolo solo. And you want me to get over it because of your failures. Pathetic. Running away from problems yet again.
The arranged marriage between Charles II and Marie Louise of Orleans, who was technically his second niece, was a rocky affair from the start. She had the French ambassador write to the Spanish court in 1679 that she wanted absolutely nothing to do with Charles, and she found the Catholic king so ugly that he caused fear in her, and he looked ill. Her accusations were correct, but she had no say in the marriage. She wanted to marry her cousin Louis XIV, but she was a woman in the 17th century, so that was that. In fact, she was so correct about Charles being sickly that the King of Spain was unable to physically attend his own marriage. The proxy marriage took place at the Palace of Fontainebleau on August 30th, 1679. Louis Armand de Bourbon, Prince of Conti, a distant cousin of the bride, was the stand-in groom in Charles's stead. Yet when she arrived in Spain, her husband fell for her hard. For her, however, this was unfortunately the beginning of a sad and lonely life. Despite being in love with her, Charles was unable to fulfill her desire to become a mother, and after 10 years of marriage, she found solace in sweets and beverages. After horseback riding on February 11, 1689, she experienced abdominal pain followed by convulsions and vomiting. After doctors found that her condition had become mortal, she confided to her husband with the following words: "Many women may be with His Majesty, but none will love him more than I do." The loss of Marie Louise added more affliction to the ever growing list of Charles's ailments. Depression. Struck by melancholy, Charles wasn't given any time to process his grief, as he was thrust into another marriage with Marie Anne of Neuburg, only weeks after Marie Louise's death. The reason behind such nuptials was the fame Marie Anne's mother had to her name. Marie Anne was one of the 17 live births her mother had. Her total pregnancy count was 23, and she had gained the reputation of being the fertile factory, and the Spanish court was hoping that Marie Anne would have carried those genes. She arrived in Spain during the spring of 1690 and soon learned that her husband had no interest in her. It is believed that Charles II never stopped grieving for his first wife. He and Marie Anne always slept in different quarters, and the marriage was never consummated. Never. Therefore, Spanish Habsburgs never managed to have an heir. Now, when the king died, it was revealed in his autopsy that he had only one atrophied testicle, rendering him infertile. For Spain, this
So earlier, I think it was the other video that I had mentioned where I have like one set of the ovaries, and so it's talking about like one set of the testicles. Like, come on now, quit it, quit it, stop it.
35 years of inept rule was just the beginning of the troubles as all of Europe gathered to claim succession from Spain, resulting in the War of Spanish Succession. Thanks to this conflict, more than 1 million people suffered from war crimes, famine, plagues, and dysentery, just because the Habsburgs kept it in the family.
What?
How did everything go? Court was hoping that Marie Anne would have carried, never stopped grieving for her. Now, when the king died, rule was just the beginning of the trouble. Now, when the king died, it was revealed in his autopsy that he had only one atrophied testicle, rendering him infertile. For Spain, this 35 years of inept rule was just the beginning of the troubles as all of Europe gathered to claim succession from Spain, resulting in the War of Spanish Succession.
Okay, so because he didn't have any kids, that was the War of Succession, because it became famine and all the other kind of shit. Like, yeah, they're saying because, like, yeah, that's insane. That's wild. So he really didn't have anything to do with it. Like, 'cause what if he just was impotent, or like not impotent, but he just was shooting blanks or something like that? Like, that is so insane and crazy. So again, a misprojection of hate and things of that nature. Like, yo, that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. Because literally, honestly, there would be moments where kings would bed with their wives, but they would be, a lot of the wives would die, would be stillborn. A lot of the wives would die. The children would die. They would be stillborn. And the king would end up having a plethora of black bastard children who could not be made heir to the throne. So, like, it's just like, stop it. Stop it. If pardon me. If we were talking about Louis VIII, like, he had to re-abdicate. No, sorry. It was a re-abdicate, or like he had to give back, royal authority to, was it Christina? No. Catherine. To Catherine and Elizabeth after he died, because all his other wives weren't producing children. So it's just like, again, it's not about putting the blame on the king or the queen, and then trying to say like, oh yeah, it's because of them that it's because of them that that these wars have happened. I was like, no, not necessarily, because there are other people down the line that could have actually been the fucking next in line in throne. Because what was it? I remember King Henry had a son, but then that son died very young, unfortunately. And so, and the wife had died giving childbirth. The one he had loved the most had died in childbirth. And yeah, it's fucked up. So again, it's like, here we go again, bitch. Here we go again. Like, yo, you can't over here like try to Or that shit. Back at the king and say like, oh well, see, it's because of him. It's like, ooh, this is really bad. This is really, really bad. So that's the end. 9:21 p.m. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready for tomorrow. I don't think I have anything really to say. If I do, then you might see me super early right before I head into work. It's gonna be really early. But until then, yeah. I guess if there's anybody who's actually rooting or voting for, my freedom and the injustice that's going against me, then I always appreciate that. But other than that, like, I don't have anything else to say to you dumbass, dependent, ignorant, stupid, ugly ass bitches that are hating. Because you are incompetent, worthless, and you did nothing but show me how triggered you are and how much and how spot on I was in my previous videos. So, again, how do you think that you're able to rule? Doesn't that seem very, in your feelings? Does that seem very egotistical? Doesn't that seem very, what is that also? Impulsive? I'm surprised you guys haven't pushed that red button yet. Like, okay, nuclear war this time. You guys are so fucking pathetic. And, I told you so.